you guys? I'm fantastic. This is like an introvert's worst nightmare up here right now. Like, how many of you guys consider yourselves introverts? Like, raise your hands, sorry. Right, we're all in IT. And keep your hands up, keep your hands up. So, like, from my perspective, that means the rest of you who have your hands down means you think you're so introverted that you won't even raise your hand. So, you can appreciate what it's like to be up here. I feel like this is like the worst time to talk to young professionals as well, since it's the first spot in the morning. So I didn't want to get started right away. So I'm just up here to take a selfie because, smile, there you go. My mother still has no idea what I actually do after about 20 years. I figured I'll send that to her later. But I guess we can get going here. So I'm here to talk to you this morning, and I'm going to continue to look back there because I'm used to my slides being on that side of me, but apparently they're on the other side of me. And I guess we're here to learn some cool things. And what inspired this talk this morning, it was the idea that whenever I'm at a security conference, either doing cool things like building stuff at a hacking village or speaking about some new trend, the most common question that I'm asked is the idea of how do I get a job? And lots of time that's also followed by, making a lot of money and wearing hoodies and jeans, or, oh, this one kind of hits close to home, where my entire family doesn't understand exactly what I do on a daily basis. But today, obviously, CypherCon, we're talking about cybersecurity. So I want to walk you through this whole concept of what do we actually care about when we're applying for a job as candidates, as well as what do hiring managers look for to give you a leg up and give you some ideas to consider when you are actually talking to some of these hiring managers. After all, my friend David here says that there aren't many industries that affect everyone on an individual basis in their daily lives. I would agree with that. He says the next word is going to be cyber. Even without being in the military, the more knowledgeable and prepared you are, the better off you'll be. I'd agree. I think that's what for a lot of us attracts us to this idea of doing something in cybersecurity. I see some familiar faces in the crowd, and I've got like this motley crew right here that I recognize as well. But I figured for some of you who don't know me, I'll introduce myself. My name is DJ Vogel. I'm a guy who fell in love with security because it's a challenge, because it's always changing, because I can help people. I've worked as an employer and I've worked as a supervisor. I've started security companies, I've sold security companies, I've bought security companies. And I retired in 2018, as many of you know. But I wanted to share my knowledge with others, so I became a teacher at the collegiate level. And that's why I keep looking at these guys, because they've had me in class before. I don't know why they're still coming to see me on the stage, but I appreciate you guys being here. And ultimately, that's a little bit of the theme of what I got going on today. That as much as I wish it was about what we knew in order to get a job, a lot of times it's more about who we know that helps us get that job. So now I'm back, managing partner at GoScale. You might have come and built one of our business cards at the Hacking Village yesterday, and if you didn't, swing by today. We do cool things like GRC consulting, penetration testing, incident response. And, I'm here to give you my experience, but I also talked to a lot of my friends to come up with some of these answers today. I spoke with recruiters, with headhunters. I talked to a lot of old students, some of you guys in the crowd, and job candidate seekers. With my combined years of 20 years of experience there, that's a lot. I can't believe I'm saying that. That means I've literally interviewed hundreds of candidates just like you guys in the past. So hopefully I can give you some good guidance here. And I think at the heart of our question here, we're really asking, how do I stand out? And in order to appreciate and be able to answer that, we first need to understand the process. Large companies have full-time recruiters. They have people with fancy titles like talent managers. They use applicant tracking systems, which have changed how we do our job postings now. There's spiders and there's integrators, there's aggregators. I can take a single job posting and post it to 15, 20 sites at once. So from my perspective, as a company who's hiring, I give little credence where I'm actually posting now, because it's super easy for me to get my job posting out there. Now, I want you to appreciate here the perspective of loosely from a recruiter who sees a lot. She says, recently I filled a position that attracted 3,360 candidates, 3,360 candidates. That's a lot, right? 1,600 weren't located in the listing that they were trying to hire for. 740 applicants required some sort of visa support. 763 applicants didn't show the basic skills. 124 resumes were shortlisted so that they would actually look at those people. That's not even 10%, right? 43 candidates were selected for a screening. 21 passed the screening, so we're narrowing that down even more. Another half of that, 11 candidates to actually complete a take-home evaluation. Of those, 9 did pretty good. 6 of them completed the entire interview. 1 offer was presented, which was accepted. That's pretty crazy, right? 3,000 for a single position. She goes on to say, I initially reviewed the profile within 2 weeks of submission, right? So from the time she posted that, looking at everybody, and they made the selection within 28 days. That's not incredibly long by any means. But trying to get yourself in front of a recruiter that's looking at that many resumes, that many applications, that many qualified individuals, what do? So we asked ourselves, how do companies recruit? The answer is, unfortunately, not often very well, right? We can't just rely on talent acquisition teams to find us the best candidate. Our original question, how do I stand out? Well, let's start with this idea of what are the most important qualifications? What do you think? Networking, virtualization, cloud? Think you need to know how to code? Database? I like that idea. Stop reading my slide notes. AI is really hot too right now, right? Like this idea of all these technical questions, ultimately, as security protagonists, we have to say, yes, we need to know all of that. We need to know a little bit about everything. So our job, our expected job, is that we can have these answers. So any technical skill you can think of, yes. The answer is yes. We need to demonstrate that. What does that really mean? From a technical perspective, it's truly about your ability to think quickly on your feet, to troubleshoot, to find that answer. It's not about a specific technical skill because we're expected to know them all. But by far, the resounding answer is what? Soft skills. The ability to communicate. Everybody they asked said the same thing. My friend Zach here says, communication skills are key. Being able to articulate an issue or topic, both written and verbal, to varying levels of technical knowledge is really important to most roles in security. I agree with that. Let's think about it a little bit more. What exactly is Zach saying here? Now, we know in security that when we've got a chain, right, what causes the chain to fail? Ultimately, that weakest link. My friend Peter here, is he in the audience? He might come and heckle me later. He's here today. He adds on to that. He says, someday the end user can be the weakest link. They need security explained in basic terms. Absolutely. So when we talk about what do we need to present, we need to have that ability to articulate. How do we do that when we're applying for a position? You need to have the ability to articulate why you have an interest in an area, security, but not just security in general, whatever it is that job that you're applying for. You need to articulate how you've learned complex topics. And you need to have the ability to receive feedback and give feedback. But if the first and second areas aren't present, the third is not important. So what's our question again? How do I stand out? We might ask ourselves, are certs important? We get asked this all the time. What cert should I get? Now, if you have no experience, what can you do to demonstrate competency? Right? It becomes really tricky. You need experience to get a job. You need a job to get experience. There may be more entry-level cybersecurity job postings out there than any other field. Entry-level certs like A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, we've heard all those before. Those are easy knockouts. You can do that within a weekend of studying or maybe 2. And they help you get an entry-level job, like help desk. Now, while these entry-level certificates don't hold a lot of value, if you're walking in with no experience, you can study, not take too much time, and at least what? That'll help you get a cert to stand out from your peers. My friend Josh here, professional recruiter. I thought he had some interesting insight here. In general, when we ask this question to hiring managers, so right, he's being hired by others to find him candidates. They say, the hiring managers say, certs are nice to have on initial briefings. But as we get into the search, we see more managers suggest that they move candidates forward because they had a certification to back up the experience shown on their resume. Josh went on to say, my advice would be that a certification, especially a practical one, gives a potential manager the confidence that you have been there and done that and will increase your chances of being selected for an interview. And after all, at the end of the day, that's what our goal is here, right? To get into that interview. So I say, yes, certs are important, but no, they're not at the same time. I'm going to emphasize my point. How many are students here today? Look around the room real quick. Keep your hands in the air. Look how many students are here today. All right. I'm going to emphasize this a little bit more. How many are in here that have graduated from WCTC or have currently enrolled themselves in WCTC? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Look around. It's what, about half in here? Some of you have had as students before. Some of you have never met before. WCTC arguably has one of the best cybersecurity curriculums in the state of Wisconsin. They were the first to become certified by the Department of Homeland Security, the National Security Agency, to become a center of academic excellence. That's pretty crazy. You guys have all taken the same coursework. So how do I, as a hiring manager, choose between any of what, 50 of you in this room? I do not value certs or education over experience by any means. But when I have nothing else to go on, they can at least demonstrate to me an ability to learn. You take the same classes, but you're not required to take a certification. Taking that certification helps to demonstrate to me what? That you've taken that a little bit of extra initiative. More often than not, they're a differentiator. With that, since you're going to ask me anyways what certifications matter, I will tell you that the one that's the most recognized out of all the generic cybersecurity certifications is the CISSP. How many people have their CISSP in here? Okay. Those guys, look around. You guys are here to get a job. Those are the guys that you want to talk to. Note that those guys, and me, I guess, I was hoping there would be more of us in here. We're the old guys in the room. We're the wise elders, right? And there's a catch, young grasshoppers. I'm encouraging you to get your CISSP, but you also need 5 years of experience to get it. So what can you do instead? You can still sit for the exam, and you can become an associate of ISC squared before you actually have that 5 years of experience. For me, as a hiring manager, that demonstrates a lot. All right, so we learned that certs can help us out, but what did we really hear? Do I need experience? We got that quagmire, right? Just said it. You need a job to get experience. You need experience to get a job. Experience is most important for us. But it's this idea of how do I get experience when I don't have a job? And that's what I want you to think about. Experience can come in some non-traditional forms. My friend Jim, I remembered, has a talk at 1 upstairs. Go see him. He's going to talk about how to make a home lab. Now, I'm going to give you a pro tip, and you're going to hear me echo this through the rest of the content that I have here. When I am sitting in front of a candidate, I want to talk to you about something. You need to give me something to talk to you about. One of my favorite questions that I always asked was, how many computers do you have? Do you think I cared? Do you think I really cared whether somebody had 1 or 10 or 12? Seth, did I ask you that question? Do you remember that? How many computers do you have? Why was I asking that? If somebody just says, oh, I got 1, I got a laptop at home, and is that what I'm looking for? No. I'm looking to have a conversation about it. How many do you have? That's an open-ended question. It's not just 1, 2, 3, 10. I got a bunch. I have some VMs. I want you to talk to me about it. That's what the interview is. Within 30 seconds, I know whether I want to hire you or not. I know all of you guys right here. I know which one of you I would hire and which one I wouldn't. Not looking at you at all. It's true. But I want you to tell me what your interest is. If you've got 2 computers and you've got 10 VMs on them, what are you doing with those? Give me some examples. And sometimes experience can come in non-traditional forms. Did you know that IC Stars nonprofit has a 60-hour-a-week, 16-week internship program? That's crazy. That's intense. They take 20 candidates into that program with the sole goal of providing them with technical training, job readiness, and they primarily serve the underserved community. That's pretty cool. You don't have to buy an education. I'm looking for experience in terms of interest. My friend Ellen tells me, I work with students who all take the same courses and have the same skill set. We got a reoccurring theme here, right? I ask them, what makes you different? Because that is what's going to catch an employer's eye. It's the projects, the extracurriculars, the competition, the club involvement, the self-taught information, the extra non-required classes that you're taking. That's what matters. When I go in and I talk to students and they all have the same coursework and they don't do anything outside of courses, what do I get from that? Nothing. What am I looking for? I know that the top students are going to be involved in the clubs, and I know a lot of you guys do some competitions, and a lot of you guys that I talked to earlier are in the same boat. I know, as a hiring manager, that those are my best hires. That's why I spend time with those clubs. It's selfish. I don't like any of you guys. I don't discriminate. I hate you all equally. But you guys share that same passion. My friend Jamie offers us an interesting analogy. She says, I'm not going to let you run a restaurant just because you have a degree in hospitality management. You have to spend time as a waitress. In our field, think about that. Help desk, desktop support, before you run the whole establishment, security. This idea here is echoed by my friend Allie. She says, sometimes you need to go sideways first to get where you ultimately want to be. Take the job that gets you in the door and then learn everything that you can in that job. You will be surprised how often that knowledge and relationships come into play. You're going to leverage that to get you to the next step. My friend Aaron in the back, give me a wave. He's probably one of the best examples of that. Aaron, how many of your best talent has come from a teller or somebody that's not even in IT? That's exactly what it is. I can teach you the technical. I can teach you what you need to know from technical. I need you to show me that you have the capability to learn. Remember that comment that I made earlier about help desk? This is what I was talking about. Understand what a realistic entry job looks like. Do we all want to work help desk for a long period of time? No. Has anybody worked commission before? You don't count. I got one sales guy here. Does it suck, Randy? Yes. Does it suck? You're still working. Oh, you're not even working on commission anymore. It sucks. It sucks. I worked at Circuit City, Best Buy, back in the day. Some of you were not even born when Circuit City was around. God. And it was crazy. It's like I'm selling these Discmans, these CD players. You know what a CD is? Can I even use these analogies anymore? They're not going to invite me back. And I earned like $2 every one I sold. It sucked. It sucked, but it taught me something. It taught me I never wanted to sell on commission again. And the idea is the same here. You have to learn from the grassroots what these positions are so that you can appreciate them, right? Get your foot in the door, prove yourself, take that advancement. It's not like just do grunt work with the promise of opportunity and it never comes. Value yourself as well, but take advantage of any opportunity you can. Getting a job is better than not having a job, and I'm sure many of you can appreciate that. So, do you need experience? Yes, but it does not need to be traditional. Remember, we're trying to appreciate, how do I stand out? Do I need to know somebody? I often wish that the smartest and the best qualified candidates got the job. I wish that. It is hard to find candidates. Unfortunately, I already mentioned, right? The old adage goes, it's not necessarily about what you know, but who you know. Absolutely true. My friend Mike, this is you, my friend. Another gray hair with a CISSP who hires and has entry-level positions. He's going to be your friend. He tells us to be bold. Walk up to people, introduce yourself, and ask them about their role and perhaps their career journey. Most people with years of experience are very happy to share what we've learned and relish the opportunity to help folks starting out in our industries, right? We've been around the block. Now, little did you appreciate that you were also giving us some pay dirt here with your advice, because this is also great for dating. Ask somebody about themselves. It's super easy to start a conversation because who doesn't like talking about themselves, right? It's the easiest way to have a conversation. My friend Carla, she also points out, making contact with somebody is a good technique, but have something of value to say or a reason to connect. Passive LinkedIn connection requests without stating if you are seeking a position or applied for one will get you nowhere. She went on to say, you should have a defined statement of interest or specific ask related to the roles that you're seeking. She's telling us that you want to think about networking with a purpose. Hi, I want a job never works, right? Some of you came to my booth, talked to me yesterday in the Hardware Hacking Village. I need a reason to talk to you. Ask about me, tell me about you. Give me a reason to have that conversation, not just, are you hiring? I don't remember those individuals. I remember the people who say, I have a 25,000 YouTube subscription. I remember people who say, I was a sushi manager, and this is what I did. It's interesting. It's something unique. It's memorable. This makes sense, right? If we put this into perspective, what Carl is saying here, your goal is to have that conversation with me. You need to give me something to talk to you about. Otherwise, we're just going to sit there and stare at each other, right? I've dealt with a lot of awkward candidates. I probably can outlast you just staring at you. I like how my friend Mark expands upon that with his guidance here. He says, be transparent about your career aspirations and ask for guidance rather than opportunities. That also means always being polite and thanking people for their time. We often forget that, right? After you meet with somebody, you absolutely, 100% should follow up with them and say thank you for your time. As a hiring manager, give some perspective to that. I'm busy. I'm hiring because I am busy. I'm taking time out of my day and I am busy. I am so busy I can't do my job on my own that I need to hire somebody. And now I've taken more time out of my day to meet with you. Even if I don't want to hire you, karma comes back around. You might be fantastic, but just not in this role. Or I might know somebody else, like everybody I'm quoting up here, that is hiring. So make sure you're leaving that good impression with them. Finding a mentor is a great place to start. Many of you I've told over the years, or when I've introduced myself to you, invite me for a cup of coffee. I will take a half an hour out of my day to talk to you. Why? Because we all like talking about ourselves. It works. So, what's the answer? You've already started this journey. By being here today, you're already a step ahead of your peers. But remember, telling me that you've been to DEF CON or CyberCon doesn't mean much. Telling me how you did, intro to data analytics, is that what you guys are here for? No? I'm just kidding with you guys. Telling me how you did at a Capture the Flag event at the con, or how you built a wireless hacking tool out of a microcontroller, That says a lot to me. And right now, you're at Milwaukee's largest cybersecurity gathering with like-minded nerds and geeks, right? We're all in the same room together and quite literally all in the same building together. Introduce yourself, connect with people, build your network. You can start with me. I saw some of you guys scan that already. Did you invite me to connect? Yes? All right. Did you introduce yourself? I literally have hundreds of connections, right? And when I get an invite, how do I know who you are? What could you do? Instead of that blind invite, tell me where we met. It's okay to say to me that you met me here right now today. That's great, right? But help me tie that face to a name. Help me remember you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, why you're trying to connect with me. And that goes for everybody. Everybody that you connect with. Don't send that blind invite. How am I supposed to remember 3 years from now when I'm looking through my Rolodex of contacts? How am I supposed to remember who's who? Educators, we've all had teachers in our lives. They always say they remember students for one reason or another. 1, you're fantastic. 2, we don't like you. Same thing happens. I might want to maintain my connection with you or look for an opportunity to chat with you more later on. So let me know who you are so that I can remember you. All right. So I'll ask that same question one last time. How do you stand out? There is no section on a resume that states how passionate you are about security and technology, but you can get a sense for it by reading between the lines and digging for it in an interview. You can teach security, you can't teach passion. Hell yeah, Adam. You can teach security, but you can't teach passion. If you can take anything away from me in any interaction that I've ever had with you, I thought about this. I thought, man, I'm really starting to get old as I watch all these young faces grow up in their own careers. And a lot of you have been around now, and I recognize a lot of you from classes, and you guys have really made an impressive career out of yourself. And for those that I'm just meeting now, I hope the same for you guys. But I hope that one day, when I'm in a Pinewood box, you guys are visiting me, and you remember about me that I inspired some passion from you. Curiosity is troubleshooting. Curiosity is the willingness to ask questions. It's the ability to ask for help, but only after you try to find the answer on your own. I've told many of you that we get paid the big bucks because what? We're better Googlers than everybody else. I don't know how to do that, but I will find out. That is the best answer you can give me during an interview question. Never feel like you need to know every answer. I don't expect you to, especially if you're entry level. There's no hiring manager that you're going to talk to that isn't already going to consider that they need to train you. You do not need to be intimidated by questions, especially at the technical level. How many talented people have you met over the last 2 days? A whole lot, right? I'm going to tell you a secret, but you already know this answer. No one knows everything. None of us do. You all have to be open to new ideas. That's what makes us good at what we do. Aaron, my friend, you nailed this one. I want somebody with a story, an interest, and the acumen. Now, I jokingly said in my first slide, why do we get involved in security? And I think a lot of people do get involved because they think there's a lot of money to be made in security. It's not necessarily untrue. But what I want you to remember is that you should be chasing your passion and find an interest, and the money will come after that. And if I can give you one last piece of advice when interviewing, when I'm looking to hire somebody, it's because I need that help. You need to go into that interview thinking exactly that. which also means I might be lousy as a hiring manager with following up. Why? Because I'm busy. Now, do I want you to nag me every day and be obnoxious? No, that's not what I'm saying. But you will not get a job by posting your resume to an open application. That will not get you hired. You want to get in front of me one way or another, which means going to events like this and introducing yourselves, other in-person events, ISACA, MadSec, Milwaukee Sec. And when you're talking to me, remember, if I'm interviewing you, I am looking for a reason to hire you. I want to bring somebody on my team. I already have in my mind that I am sitting across from this person with the intent to employ them, to introduce them to my friends back at the office, right? You have the advantage. I need you. It's intimidating, but I need you. Be yourself. Find a company that agrees with who you are and that you're a good match together. Now, I know I've got some experienced professionals in the audience here too. So if you're wondering what tips that you're able to walk away with, this is exactly what to look for to hire your best new teammate. There are many people at CypherCon here today. I picked on Seth, that I've worked together with in the past. That's part of the fun of this community. That's part of the fun of this industry, is building out that dream team of talent. So that's your goal too. Even if it's a job, think about where that gets you to the next step. Be true to yourself, be true to your passion, you'll be successful from there. What questions can I answer for you guys? Now that you've got an open book, I'll ask Michael to cut out this part. Randy.
I'm going to add it.
Yeah. Please do.
Fantastic presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Great tips. Here's something that's worked for me. It's the killer response if you're asking a tough question in an interview. You're asking a question, you're not going to answer, ask that. That's a great question. Why is it important to you? Then they will tell you why they're asking you that question and give you some insight on how to respond. Now, be careful how often you use that, right? You can't ask them the question every question they ask you, but reciprocating with curiosity shows that they have an interest in finding out more.
I like it.
Also, one of the best, I did mock interviews once. There was a resume, I'll cut to the chase. We had a resume from a student that was a terrible resume. Her only job experience was at McDonald's. It wasn't very good. He was also one of the best interviews I've ever had. Because every time I asked her a question, she would respond with, here's the situation. At the start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the situation. Here's what we learned. Here's how we resolved it. It'll never happen again. Here's why. And she answered every question like that to the point where I stopped the interview and said, you need to fix this resume and keep doing that on interviews.
Yeah, for sure. Right? That goes back to experience. We call those behavioral-based interviews. What did you do when X happened? That's why we're asking you. We don't care about the subject itself. And it doesn't even matter, right? If it's club activities, if it's your home lab, whatever it is, I'm just looking for a conversation to show me that you have that aptitude there, right? Go back to what Aaron had said here, right? The acumen for me. I'm going to train you the technical skills. I need to see if you can absorb those. That's what I'm looking for with that. And a pro tip here, Randy, you could bring up a good point with resumes. Right now with generative AI, right? Super easy to write our term papers. Don't tell Jim that, but we all know. He's using it to grade all of our stuff anyways, so it goes both ways. Do not use generative AI when you're applying for a job. There's lots of services out there that says, hey, I can take the job posting, I can craft a resume to go alongside of it. Remember what we just said about how many students take the same coursework and how do you differentiate yourself? Now, when everybody's using the same generative AI to create a resume and a cover letter, they read exactly the same and they're garbage. I don't want to see that. One of my other favorite questions that I would ask people, how many black t-shirts do you own? Right? It's a curiosity question. How do you respond to that? You give me a one-word answer back? That's not what I'm looking for, right? You literally just tell me 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 or whatever. That's not giving me what I'm looking for. When you're interviewing, take that as an opportunity to discuss the question that's at hand. But be yourself, right? You're not trying to oversell yourself. You're not trying to be anything you're not. Be yourself. Aaron, what else you got?
I know it's also
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, for some of you who are looking at the entry level, the idea of applying for a job, and if you get that interview, what should you be talking about in terms of what you want to do? Somebody says, what do you want to be doing in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? You should be thinking about the job that you're applying for and what that career path is, right? So it's okay if it's an entry-level job. Nobody might want to do help desk for 5 years, but explain what that stepping stone is within that organization, right? If you come in and you're like, hey, I'm applying for this job to do help test, but I really want to do pen testing, so I'm just trying to get this job in order to do pen testing later on, and I don't do pen testing, I'm not going to want to hire you, right? I mean, that seems so obvious when you say that out loud, but so many people forget that. I rewrote some security curriculum courses, and one of the first questions that you are asked if you go to WCTC in Security 1 is, what do you want to do for a job? And almost everybody answers that either A, I don't know, or B, something in security. What am I going to do with that as a hiring manager? I can't do anything with that. Security is so widespread. There are so many different jobs in this room right now that we'll all have together, and rarely ever will they overlap. So understanding what security actually means and what these different positions are in security, exceptionally important too. Piggybacking off of what Aaron said, expressing that interest in that position as well, and why you would be good in that. What other questions we got? Who's nervous about asking a question? Go ahead. I'm doing great. I appreciate that. Good plug. I'd say find yourself another recruiter. Your skills don't transfer to cyber. What the hell does that even mean? That sounds like you can keep cool under pressure. That seems like you volunteered your time. It seems like you care about people. It seems like you can help people. Thank you for your services. Right, right. I don't even know what means more about that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Turn that into a positive and help that motivate you. That's what I say to you. Look at. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if somebody can't see that, that's not the right organization. But here's the thing, right? We can laugh about it in this room, and the only one that's on camera being recorded is me right now. So the thing is, though, I still want you to be polite and courteous to that person. I know that you were, right? And I want to say that out loud to everybody because I want you thinking about that. You're going to meet some jackasses. You're going to interview with some people that are real assholes. They are. Stop saying that I was an asshole when you interviewed with me. There's a difference. But you are. Those aren't the people that you want to work for. It's that simple. You're still going to be polite to them. You're still going to thank them for their time because you know what? IT is a small industry. I told you when you were students in a class to look to your left, you look to your right, right? That old adage, right? That's part of the goal here. That's why you're here today, to meet people. We're introverts. We don't like people, but we're here because we need to interact with you guys somehow in our lifetimes, and that's what our goal is. So take advantage of that. Surround yourself by people that you care about. You'll build your own ecosystem, and you'll enjoy what you do. That's the best advice to it. That sounds like somebody that wouldn't appreciate you. You'll find somebody that will. Sure. Yeah. There was another question over here. Yeah, you got 30 minutes for a cup of coffee? 30 minutes for a cup of coffee. I like it. Yeah, absolutely. Come grab a business card for me. I think you built one fantastic. Then you know how to contact me. For sure. For sure. Love it. Love it. What else we got? Anything? Go ahead. Could you tell us a little bit more about GoScale? Can I tell you a little bit more about GoScale? Sure. Actually, I've got a few minutes here. Why don't I go a little farther back? Because not all of you guys have heard, and especially everybody else who has not had me in school before, have heard my background, because I hope it might be a little bit inspirational for you. I went to a traditional 4-year school, but I went to school with the intent of getting out of school. I did not care about meeting people there. I did some extracurriculars because I thought it would look good on a resume. But once I was out of school, all I cared about was getting a job. I was a business major. I went to a career fair. You too? I'm sorry. I went to a career fair. I was in the equivalent of my junior year at the time. I had bleached blonde hair with tips. You had hair back then, didn't you, Aaron? It was not pretty. It was about as bad as you can imagine it could be. I went to the career fair with the sole intent of just walking around and seeing what was there and prepping myself for the next career fair. I happened to stop and chat with somebody, and they did this super, super cool consulting work called penetration testing, which back in the early 2000s, nobody knew about. I always joked around when people asked me, what do I want to be when I grow up? I said, I want to work for the FBI, some sort of government entity, and then I want to go rogue. I want to become a professional bank robber. That was my goal. I was really snarky, right? Really edgy. And then I heard, as a penetration tester, people would actually pay you to break into them. And that was legal. So I'm like, hey, great, no bail money for me. So I applied, but I knew nothing about security. I knew nothing about technology. I didn't know what an IP address was. I didn't know what a port was. Like, that's the perspective I want you to take away from this. And I got hired to do penetration testing. Why? Because I showed an interest in it. I wanted to rob that bank. Sounds fun. Security is fun. So I built my career off of that interest. Now, I've worked for a handful of larger firms in the past, and ultimately I felt like working for a larger firm wasn't for me. So back in 2005, I started 403 Labs. We were a small boutique security shop. We focused on security consulting. Nobody in Milwaukee land was doing security consulting at the time. We helped organizations keep the bad guys out. That's all we did. I didn't want to install a web server. I wanted to help keep the bad guys out of it. I didn't want to implement a network. I wanted to help keep the bad guys out of it. 2014, I sold that. 2018 is when I left that practice that I had sold. That's when I taught. I thought I'd only hang around. Either I liked you guys a lot or felt bad because of COVID. I kept around 4 years instead of 2. And then I started Ghost Scale this past year. Why? Because I love security. That's what we do. Anything that involves security. Got a bunch of guys that I've worked with over the years that are really smart individuals. People hire us to give them strategy. How do I keep the bad guys out? Become their fractional or virtual CISO. I've got lots of clients that are here, even in the audience, that I've worked with before. Why do they hire us? Because we like what we do, right? It's that passion. That passion is contagious. That's what gets you hired as a job candidate. It's also what gets you hired as a consultant to do work for others. So at Ghost Scale, we do all the boring stuff. We'll help you write policies. We'll help you review your configurations, look at your firewall, make sure it's good, look at your antivirus, all that boring type of stuff. But we'll also do fun stuff. We do incident response. You have an incident, you have a breach, and you need somebody to call, to turn to and help you out. You call us up, we drop what we're doing and we help you out with that. Figure out how the bad guys got in. We do the red teaming, the penetration testing. How secure is my environment? I'll tell you how secure it is. Give me a badge that your employees have, and I'll tell you exactly what I could get access to. All these doors were locked here this morning. You know how I got in here? Using those skills. You can read between the lines. What other questions? We got maybe 2 more minutes. Yes? I'm so old, man, I can't even hear you up here. That's all right. Yes, you can. So IC Squared is the organization that has the CISSP. If you go there and you look under the CISSP, it's going to tell you what those requirements are. It's got the 5 years of work experience, as well as you need to understand all the different domains of it. But if you sit for the exam and you take the exam, they'll give you a designation that's called Associate of ISC Squared. And I know what that means. Everybody knows what that means in terms of the job market itself. And then as you build your 5 years of experience, then that CISSP will become official. So when you see CISSP, that's also what it demonstrates. It demonstrates that we've been around the block. Any others? Yep.
5-second story.
Sure.
I presented last night on a topic. I didn't know the topic very well, but it was a fantastic challenge. I then challenged someone else to join me, who said, I think your words were, I don't know the topic, but I'm interested. And you did a fantastic job. Be willing to take those opportunities and challenges that get you outside of the norm of your skill set. In other words, say yes when you may not want to say yes.
You'll have plenty of opportunity as you get older in your career to say no to things. But right now, what you're hearing from all of us old guys is say yes as much as you can, right? That perspective, and it's easy to get sucked into social media where people are hating on CEOs and they're hating on hiring managers and the recruiting process. It's easy to get sucked into that. But let me tell you, when I have a candidate that comes to me, remember, I catch bad guys for a living. I'm going to research that candidate, right? So that candidate that applies to me, and I can find out that they're part of the anonymous hacking group, probably is not somebody that I want on my team that my clients are going to want to find out about. And if I can find out that you're working with anonymous, you're probably not very anonymous yourself. So keep that in mind as well. Yes, sir. Yes. I see stars. The letter I, the letter C, and then stars. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here today. We'll see you in the village.